Welcome to Carcassonne Online. Get comfortable. Today we dive into the deep mysteries of our past.
Right, so we're looking at grid lines drawn way back in the 13th century. Just, shadows stretching across La Bastide Saint-Louis.
Which is the lower city, right?
Exactly. A whole lower city lying exactly 150 meters beneath the famous medieval citadel that everyone takes pictures of.
And, well, our mission today is to explore that shadowed grid. Because the tourist masses, they all flock to the pristine castle on the hill.
Oh yeah, they totally missed the real story.
Right? The gritty history is down below, hiding these monumental secrets right in plain sight. So, okay, let's unpack this. We have to start at the Église Saint-Vincent.
The scale of that place is just, it's staggering.
It really is. Like, when you step through its heavy wooden doors, the nave, the central aisle, is over 20 meters wide, 20.25 meters to be exact.
Which is wider than a bowling lane is long.
Yeah, exactly. For over 5 centuries, it was actually the widest in all of France. It's basically an inverted stone canyon built in the Dark Ages. But here's my question. How does a sacred monument quietly transform into a weaponized factory?
Well, what's fascinating here is that the building's sheer massive scale wasn't an accident. It was funded by the town's booming industry.
Oh, right. The wool empire.
Yes, in the 17th century, this seemingly ordinary lower town was an economic engine, driven by a highly lucrative wool and cloth empire. They had the wealth to build big.
But, wealth and massive architecture, they attract attention.
They do. So during the French Revolution in 1794, the state seized the church and turned it into a literal foundry.
Wait, I'm stuck on the foundry part. You're telling me they fired up blast furnaces inside a medieval stone church? Wouldn't the intense heat and smoke just, destroy the architecture?
You would totally think so. But remember that massive canyon-like nave we just talked about?
Yeah, the 20-meter wide one.
Right. That sheer volume of space, combined with the high stone arches, actually provided excellent ventilation. They ripped out the wooden pews, brought in heavy earth and clay for casting molds.
Wow, so they used the stone structure itself to safely contain the heat?
Exactly. And those solemn chapels, they just seamlessly began churning out heavy artillery to feed the machinery of war.
That is wild. They turned a sanctuary into an industrial war engine.
They really did. But the building's purpose shifted again very quickly. Just 4 years later, in 1798, that same church became a tool for audacious science.
Right, the bell tower. It's an octagonal structure, 54 meters high. And 2 astronomers, Delambre and Michel, they climbed its 232 steps to make calculations.
Yeah, it was a huge undertaking.
But why there? What does climbing a church tower have to do with mapping the globe?
It is all about line of sight. They needed to calculate the Earth's meridian to establish the official length of the meter.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, basically drawing a highly precise imaginary line from the North Pole to the equator. From the top of that massive tower, which was totally unobstructed by the lower city, they had the perfect vantage point.
So this one building is funding itself with a wool empire, forging cannons, and standardizing global measurements. Here's where it gets really interesting, though. The locals didn't just accept authority, did they?
No, they certainly didn't. In 1905, there was a massive rebellion triggered by the French law on the separation of the churches and the state.
Right, because government officials arrived to inventory the church's property.
Exactly, basically transferring control to the secular government. And the parishioners completely barricaded themselves inside that giant stone canyon.
It was a fierce standoff. And it only ended when the authorities violently axed down those massive wooden doors.
But the locals didn't just sweep up the mess. They actually gathered the shattered wood and preserved it as a memorial artifact.
Which is incredible.
Yeah. If we connect this to the bigger picture, you see that the preserved wood became a physical memorial of their resistance. This seemingly ordinary lower town was a secret epicenter for science and industry, but also fierce local defiance.
So what does this all mean for you? Look, it proves that the gritty, real history of humanity, the science, the industry, and the outright defiance happens in the shadows of the lower towns.
Far away from the pristine, tourist-packed citadels.
Exactly.
And, that history still echoes today. The church's massive 54-bell carillon still rings out, carrying the weight of that hidden, weaponized, and scientific past across those grid-lined streets.
It really makes you wonder, if a simple shattered church door and a town's bell tower hold the secrets of violent revolutions and the literal measurement of the earth, what invisible, world-changing histories are buried beneath the ordinary streets you walk every single day?